Okay, so what we are working on and learning how to do today is a primer stitch. So what exactly is a primer stitch? Primer stitch is this block of fill stitches that I have like underneath my name. And this block of stitching looks very thin and open and you can see through it. The object of this stitching is not to be seen. So I would stitch this color in the same color of my item that I'm going to be doing this primer stitch on. In the example I'm working on today is I'm putting my name on a bath towel. Bath towels are notoriously lumpy and have all of these little loops that absorb all of the water that come up through your embroidery and doesn't make it look very pretty once it's sewn. A lot of times you can't even read it if you're making like words and things on the towel. So we just want to kind of lay all of those loops in the towel down so that we can get good stitching on top. So basically all I did was type in my name, and I had to actually draw out this shape. And I used the fill tool to do it. So I'm going to start from scratch. So let me get a new file. And I'm going to... Okay, so I have my name, and I'm just going to center that. And I picked Juliet, and of course Juliet script. But Juliet script's a little thin, and so to beef it up and make it a little thicker and prettier, especially for the towel, I'm going to just add to my pull comp here. Let's try 5 points, see what that does. Yeah, that looks much better. All right, so I have my name. Let's see, the size of my name is, I want it 2 inches high. Okay, so I'll slide my J over just a touch. I don't really want it to fully touch, but I will go in and tell it to do a trim here. Insert it in a little trim command in between the J and the U so that this little piece right here goes away. Okay, we have our name. That is all good. It is centered. Now, what we're going to do is once we have our name or monogram or design in the finished size that we're going to be doing, I'm going to grab the fill tool. The fill tool is going to be on the left hand side if it's visible for you, and we need it. It looks kind of like a, you know, sunny side up egg over here. We're going to grab that complex fill tool, and I'm going to zoom in because I like zooming in on my screen so that I can see really well where I'm going to be drawing. And I'm just going to pick a point to start drawing. I'm going to start on the inside here. And I'm going to come in pretty close to my lettering. Just go around and trace with some right clips. Just close, but not necessarily being very particular about my shape because it's going to be stitched out in a matching color to the towel, so it will disappear for the most part and leave beautiful stitches. Okay. Come up around this. Ooh, that's a little close, so I'll backspace. And I'm going to hit Shift and Enter. And the tool is asking for a hole now. But we don't need to put a hole in this fill, so I'm just going to enter to pass through that. And I am going to do my entry and exit points. And it can go in and out of the same spot. I'm just going to pick a corner here for my entry and my exit point. And then the last thing that it wants is our stitch direction. And I just give it a nice diagonal. It's going to work just fine. So then if I turn on my 3D, you can see my lettering is actually hidden underneath the fill. So I got to work with my layer next. Bring my lettering down so that it stitches on top of the fill, and I'm going to select the fill and change the color. Just so that it's vibrant on the screen, I'm going to pick orange. And from here, what we're going to do is work with the properties of the fill itself. So I'm just going to double click and that'll bring us into the properties. And I'm going to make the density for the top stitch 30. I want it nice and loose because we want to see through it, but we want it to be there. And you could leave this the way it is and stitch it out just like that, or you could change the actual fill that's underneath. We're going to go to the underlay. And it has auto underlay, which means it's doing 2. So it's doing 45 and another 45, and then it's going to do a 90 degree with your top stitches. And you can sort of see that like right in here. It kind of makes this weird like shape. If it's too much stitches, you can turn off the auto and take off one of the fills, and that will pull some of them out. If we do that, though, we want to change the angle to 90 degrees of our top stitches. That way we have our nice little boxes. And the underlay is actually a 50, so I'm going to change that, bring that down to 30. I like the stitching to be just a little bit tighter than the 50. And let's see, do we have everything? We have our top stitches. We have that density. I'm going to turn on Trapunto, and that's going to make all of the edges just a little bit cleaner. Turn off this so you can see. See how it kind of runs around the edge and just kind of makes a definitive line a little bit better there. That is our lettering. All right, close that. Get my fill back again. Now, if you plan on doing a lot of these, once you have that fill set up the way you want it, if you have the option to save next to your presets, you can actually save this and call it primer stitch. Primer stitch. And that way you know next time you need it, it will be there. So I'll click OK. And if I go back in to my presets, see primer stitch is there. So we can make this fill back to a regular fill. We'll go to set and then we'll come back. That should do it. Yeah. Regular fill. Back to our regular standard default settings. I'll drop down my preset, look for my primer stitch that I created, and apply that. And boom, it's there, it's done, it's ready to go. So if you have the save feature next to your preset, I don't remember what level of software it's available in, saving it is awesome. Do it once, then you'll be able to go to it quick from there on out. Okay, what do we have? We have that, and we have our name. We are ready to go. All right, I'm going to take this over to the machine and stitch it out. Okay, so here we are in our software, and I need to load the design. Machine load design. Here's our Juliet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm looking at my towel. My towel is like a cream color, so I'm going to pick a cream colored thread that closely matches this towel, because that primer stitch that I'm putting on the back I want it to disappear. And then I want my name to pop. And since this is going to be a towel for me, I want my name to pop in a purple, because that's what I have up on my machine. So my cream is on needle number 1. So I'm going to go to my color settings, and my first color is going to be needle 1. That's where I have my cream, and then my purple is on 15. I don't need any stops or holds or any applique settings at all for this. We're just pretty much set and ready to go. All right, so the hoop, I'm going to make sure I have the right hoop selected. I am using the 14 by 11 today because that's just my favorite hoop today. And my tension. So I really like running my towels on the same kind of tension that I would run a sweatshirt. And in the simplified user interface, that puts my minimum active feet at 13. So if you're using the advanced interface, that's basically what you're going to set is your minimum tension at 13. It tends to run really good on towels. And my speed can be 1,000 is fine. The speed is not going to be an issue on this run. Okay, let's go stitch it out. Okay, I got a view here of the machine. So first thing I'm going to do is get my tearaway. Okay. So something that I need to pay attention to is I put the end of the towel in. So I'm going to need to flip my name upside down in order for it to sew, because I'm going to go over here in this corner. I want it to sew facing upright. Since the towel's upside down, I need to flip the design. So I'm going to go back to the design for just a second. In the operating system, and I'm just going to go in this software up into the top right corner and just a quick 180 with my design. Turns it upside down very quickly. So now I'm going to find my position back on the towel. Going to be up in the corner. I like my stuff in the corner just so it's out of the way. Find my place. Switch my screen so I can see. Okay. And that's about where I want my design to stitch. And so now I'm just going to hit the start button. And so we'll see the finished product when I'm all done. Another thing I'm going to do, just because it is a towel, even though I have the knockdown, I still want to put some solvay on there. So I'm just going to cut a little piece and tape it in place. And behind my towel, I have a heavy tearaway. Put it in place, and I have some tape. Doesn't have to be a lot, just on the corners, just to kind of keep it from shifting around. I would pre-test on a tiny corner of a towel that you can't see to make sure that the tape doesn't pull the loops out. I have experienced a cheap towel where the loops pulled out with tape. Okay, here we are. Here you can see the primer stitch blends in perfectly with the background. I don't know why my camera's not focusing. There we have my name. Wish it would focus, but it's not. going to tear off the water soluble, take it out of the hoop. Pull off my pieces of tape. Cut all the extra salvia off. Looks very pretty, pretty. This is what the back is going to look like when you have your tearaway. It's going to be over the entire area, which is fine. Voila.